All right, so let's think about the 60s and the sexual revolution. What caused a lot of these teenage kids, skater girls, gangster girls, where these cultures overlap, to have teenage pregnancies, and why didn't the government do much to stop it? Well, it is about the corporations controlling women, trade, image, money, etc., and to get more from that control. It's one thing to control these things. It's another thing to have you desperately reaching out for them. To have you full of lust, reaching out for women. To have you afraid of the resources running out. And of war. And afraid of what will happen if you don't have financial security and economic stability. That's what is going on here. Think in terms of Yahoo. And Yahoo used to be able to private message people. People would meet in chat rooms, and it attracted a certain demographic that had access to computers or their own home computers, and they were a little bit outside of society, on the fringes. These are people that pose a threat because they are not well assimilated and openly contributing to the mainstream culture. They form their own little groups of friends and internet groups and chat rooms, and they message each other in chats and say, hey, check your PMs, check your private messages, your instant messages from Yahoo Messenger, which works in concert with the Yahoo chat, which they eventually removed incrementally. First, they said that, it's being hacked and they're having problems with the servers or whatever, and this made it so people stopped going on it. They started leaving. They started checking whether they could sign in, and they left. The more zealous of the people, including myself, would keep trying to sign in. They would sign in. They would see that there's not that many people there, and there's a bunch of bots, fake profiles. It was easier for you to determine who's catfishing who because of web cameras, which weren't that expensive, $20 or so. So you had a group of people who could verify their identity because they had the money to spare, the access to computers, etc. And they were talking to each other, and they were meeting each other's intimacy needs to a certain degree, while raising the desire and making them accustomed to meeting their intimacy needs. So they're having cam sex, they're having cyber sex. Chat room gets shut down. The potential to be catfished goes through the roof. The potential for governments to interfere with messages unnoticed goes through the roofs. Where's the checks and balances on the dating sites, on Facebook, on MySpace, on Instagram, on Twitter? Where are the checks and balances? There's some there, but they have been significantly reduced, and we have this large demographic of people, it's mostly male, mind you, because for women it's easier to find sex and so on, whose intimacy needs go unaddressed. This logically increases people going to the psych ward. They're getting alienated, right? They're not interacting with people. They're in their own little world. They're feeling depressed, bipolar. They're turning to drugs and substances to address that emptiness inside and to not do it in a way that is socially normative and recreational, or social drinking, for example, social smoking and recreational, and in parties and hanging out with friends and talking to your friends in a happy atmosphere and mood on the internet. So, sexual revolution, increase the desire for women, bunch of baby mamas, becoming socially normative, sex at a young age, 17 magazine, soap operas, TV shows, all these different ways, the media influence and so on to impress upon, peer pressure to impress upon the kids, have sex in an early age, and it is way more than the 40s and 50s, right? This is a very dramatic marked increase in premarital pregnancies and juvenile pregnancies. So now we have a bunch of women, as time goes on, in their 30s and 40s and late 20s with kids who are looking for financial stability, which means they're looking for the conformist cowards who spend all day upholding Babylon's system and not the political dissidents who oppose it, and most of them are gone. We have controlled opposition groups which are part of upholding Babylon's system. So the number one person who's cheated out of his rightful place in the social, when it comes to social interaction as a result of women's bad judgment and social engineering and cults and complete evil whores who abandon morality because they're evil people who don't think effectively, are the political dissidents who are handsome and less than rich, uncontrolled political dissidents. Uncontrolled. Not Republican, not Democrat, not communist, not InfoWar guys. Completely uncontrolled. Uninfluenced. They don't idolize. They're non-idolaters, if you will. And they're non-groupies. Okay. So we see this rape culture is a result of a corporate collusion with social engineers, think tanks, propaganda groups, marketing groups, and politically oriented social clubs. The social circumstances, the societal ills, and the environmental factors lead to rape. Period. And women contribute to these things. If they don't have the courage to date the uncontrolled political dissident who's handsome and less than rich, society collapses. Evil rises. Everything that you know was good, morality collapses. The rise of a wicked, organized, satanic society is what you see. Theistic Satanists, atheistic, and all the people who led the charge against morality and pushed for the sexual revolution, for the control to go firmly in the hands of the corporate traitors and the women who rolled with it, which by this time is pretty much every single last female. If you are the exception to the rule, how? Are you standing with me? Are you pushing for people like me to get, top shelf pussy? No, you're not. Because we know that men follow the attractive women. That's it's a basic marketing tactic. Attractive woman, magazine, car magazine, infomercial, commercial, blah, 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 whatever the fuck you would call it. Bunch of scum. Okay, so what do women look for in men? Why do they have such bad judgment? Okay. They look for financial stability as a requirement or prerequisite for dating. Okay, so when we let's look at Western culture. Let's wrap this up. Okay, in Western culture, we have two major vying belief systems, and then we have the rise of atheism, which is about 10% of Americans. Most people, whether they want to admit it to themselves or not, are heavily influenced by fraternities, Greek societies, Western civilization from a pagan perspective, and the pagan infiltration of the church or the pagan establishment of the Christian church. Either way, it has the same effect. It has created this effect either way. So, who are the rich in Christian culture? I go over this. James 1, there's many scriptures. Matthew 19, 23, 24. It is unchristian-like to be rich. It is immoral and evil from a Christian perspective to be rich in a crony capitalist, rape culture, neo-colonialist society. It is evil from a Christian perspective and from a pagan perspective and from an atheistic communist perspective, mind you, to be a conformist. Yet all these people are conformists. They have testified against themselves as evil scum. Whether they want to admit it or not, their works, their belief systems, their stated philosophies testify against them. The rich in the pagan system from the West is Hades and Pluto. These guys are scum. From an Egyptian system, the martial artists who stood for virtue and morality were overthrown or left, or one way or another, they fell out of favor and power. And these scumbags, Set, Sobek, Amenhotep, complete filth, took over. Regardless of what pagan system you are from, you are admitting you are scum by being a conformist, whether you're controlled opposition or not. Regardless of what Christian church you propagate, or you push, you promote, rather. You are scum by being a conformist, by being hypergamist. You're a fucking coward, and you're scum. Paganism comes to us from a reaction to the martial arts structure, just like every other religion. You're scum if you're a conformist, and you're hypergamist if you're shunning people like me, and you're dating rich fucking scum. You're a coward, you're fucking scum. Male or female or fucking child. Okay? And so, we look at this and you say, what can the pagans say, right? Pluto means the rich. Pluto is comparable to Hades. Okay? Amen is the hidden, Hades hides, the caves, Orcus. We can go on and on about the various evil deities in pagan culture. They have similar characteristics because, yes, even the dumbest caveman understands what evil is. The Neoplatonics are just bitches, right? The main people arguing that there's evil doesn't exist. We're moral relativists and evil doesn't exist. You're moral relativists. Why are you talking about morals in the first place? You know what the fuck you're talking about? Number 2, Plato was the elite's bitch. He thought reproduction should be controlled by the state. Was it because he was a righteous, uncontrolled dissident? Plato was a pussy. Plato. He was the richest bitch. Period. He thought that eugenicists should control your reproduction. Rich scum who snake their way to the top should tell you who to fuck and when and where and how and why to have a kid. He's a bitch. And a Neoplatonicist is a neo-bitch. What don't you get? They're bitches. You have hypocrites and bitches who are the biggest hypocrites of all, are the only people that disagree, and these whores are still sleeping with those pussies, those cowards. Those disloyal, never understood God, don't have the heart of a martial artist type bitch that grow up watching action movies and cartoons that prove them to be bitches. Fuck that shit. Not only they testify against themselves, they fucking go to the movies and watch movies that tell them that they're bitches and they still act like bitches. Fuck those bitches. I'm done.